The first question has to be, I know last night, like what, 12 hours ago was the big world premiere?
Yes, indeed.
How'd it go?
Hasn't quite ended. Some of us.
How did it go?
For me, it's spectacular. Horror fans are some of the most vocal fans in the world, especially here at the Fantasia Festival in Montreal. So it's a lively crowd, to say the least. And I can tell you the scares worked for them. And that's what's important to all of us.
That is what's important. So first off, let's go through and introduce everybody. I'll let you introduce yourselves because I think it'll be more important than me saying your name. So obviously we got Chuck Russell. Hey,
Thank
Hi,
hey, good. Who's next?
I'm Madison Iseman.
I'm Aaron Domingues. And I'm Charlie Tahan.
Okay, and I mean this is like the full crew right here, right? So
we're missing Antonio Despot and especially Jamie Campbell Bower and Mel Johnson. So it's a wonderful ensemble cast. I'm very, very pleased with what happened with them. What happened to them? Didn't lose any of them. They're all still here, but
well, we're very pleased, Chuck, to see you back in the horror scene again. This has been what, like 25 years?
please,
I was too.
I want. If you say so, I'm sure I'm safe.
Well, the first question has to be, why now and why Witchboard?
You know, I've been behaving myself in different genres since horror, because when you do a big studio star movie, I feel responsible for improving their brand or playing to their brand. I've been lucky to, even in films like The Mask, use talent that was new at the time. Jim Carrey was just in Living Color, and Cameron Diaz had never acted before at all. So, you know, going to independent films, trying to recreate the fun I had in those days with The Mask, and we've got known actors here that have all done wonderful work. But I like taking them to the next level. I've never seen Madison play a role like this. Aaron Domingues is great in Murders in the Building, and Charlie Tahan, I can't even, you know, Ozark.
You gotta say, Ozark, give me a break, right? Give me a break. So, and just kind of generally to the rest of the three, Chuck, not that I want to take the light off of you at all, but you three are also strong. And Chuck wrote such an amazing script that is so character driven. And in order for this to work, the characters have got to be there. And all three of you, fantastic in this. In no particular order, what attracted you to this project?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, firstly, like just the script. I read the script and had a phone call with Chuck. I really loved the script, and I was a fan of Chuck's work before, so I was excited to talk to him. And I just look for, you know, I like to do things with interesting directors who like speak a similar language, and me and Chuck seem to get on pretty early. I don't mean to speak for you. Maybe
Don't be shocked if Charlie directs his own horror film in the relatively near future.
We better do it.
Read what he's doing. It's very bothersome.
But yeah, I love the script and Chuck and the rest of the cast. It was kind of a no-brainer.
How about you, Madison?
Yeah, I mean, very similar. You know, Chuck was definitely a big pull from the beginning. But then also the story, like it's an insane story in like such a great way. So it was just something so fun to dive into. I remember reading like some of the fun scare sequences that we get to do, and knowing like Chuck's past and like what he does with all of these practical effects. Like I just knew it was going to be a big fun production of just, you know, because when you do a lot of green screen work, you get tired of like talking to tennis balls and like doing acting to nothing. So I knew this was just going to be a completely different thing. And as soon as we found out we were using a real cat, that was when I really knew
the amazing Tatiana.
I had to be a part of it. Yeah.
She did not require a double.
No, and she's a star. She's fantastic. And I've always wanted to work with a cat, so I finally got that off my bucket list.
I know I'm kind of jumping here a little bit, but let's talk about the cat, right? The cat's kind of the harbinger. Every time this freaking cat shows up, something absolutely horrifying happens.
And she got so many good reactions last night.
Yeah. She carries a certain amount of the horror. Look, I did study Wicca. I'm not an expert on anything, but I delved into this, and it's my interpretation, obviously. But I've never seen legit horror with a witch is familiar, which is traditionally a cat. And if the cat's looking at you, you kind of know the witch is too. And whenever the cat, after a couple of the first sequences with the cat, whenever the cat walks into the room, you know something bad is about to happen.
Something bad is about to happen, and it always does in this particular film. That is for sure. And I have to. This is a little more personal for me because for 45 years I was a chef, and
Wow,
the,
how did
the
we
food,
do?
food is kind of a thing in this, right? So I'm always looking. I can call bullshit on a kitchen scene. I mean, I
Well,
spent
how
half
do
my
we-
life
All
there.
right.
Let's not
How
admit.
do we
Oh,
be straight with this? How did it play for you?
it played fantastically. I mean, it really did. I mean, Charlie, you're kind of like the sous chef kind of character in this, right? I mean, you're kind of the kitchen assistant, right? As we're playing through this, and we don't want to
Excuse
give
me,
away any
excuse me,
spoilers, but
sous chef. Sous chef.
Yes,
so
sous
I said, yeah, I said
Nobody-
sous chef,
Charlie
yeah.
Tahan is nobody's assistant.
And but it played well, and I mean, people don't realize what a scary place a kitchen can be. There's really probably no more
yeah,
dangerous place in the world than a kitchen.
Can I tell you on a personal note? I freak out a little bit every time I'm at a high-end steakhouse and they start passing out those huge knives. I'm like, I don't know who's sitting next to me.
You're living in fear, huh? So while this is technically a remake, right? This is a remake of Kevin Tenney's, what, 1986, 1987. Pretty much just a remake in name only, because I
In
mean,
spirit, sir, we honor the original, but we are not limited by the original. Look, I want to give the fans something they've never seen before. And I think we've done that on a few levels while we can still honor something that's still resonant in pop culture, which is what Tenney did.
yeah, and he used an actual Ouija board in the original, and you used something called what was it? A pendulum board. Never heard of this before.
Guess
So
what? I've been studying, let's say I've been researching mysticism for years. People are freaked out when I'm an expert in this. I believe in the forces of good. I believe in God, but I think, there's a balance. There's a real spiritual world. Anyway, pendulum boards have been around for centuries. They were the predecessor. It's a direct lineage to the Ouija board because it's a fact in history. The French Pope outlawed pendulum boards in the 1700s, and they were burning people at the stake for having them. They were very popular at the time globally. It comes from all the way from ancient Egypt, its earliest tracking, and it's such a visual, imaginative tool of spellcasting, divination. To me, it's a portal for another world. And I just thought I've got to experiment with this. Ouija boards were basically invented after pendulum boards became so dangerous to own as another divination tool that became popular in modern times.
So did you ever find your prop board doing something goofy? Like freaking out on you, spinning around, doing
Got
some
that
crazy
one at
crap?
home, some strange shit's been happening. I really do. So,
You don't have a cat, do you?
that's right where right. That's right. That's where my cat was.
Uh, so let's quickly touch on the kind of time travel period piece aspect of this. How hard was that to handle from a production end, from an acting end, for those of you that were part of that
Without giving too much away, she's the one who carried the performance of playing a character, let's just say in the 1700s, as well as a contemporary character who was in conflict with herself. So I could see the emotional wrestling, particularly at the beginning of the cafe scene, where Jamie comes up and whispers to
Oh,
her.
that's that turned out so nice too.
Jamie
that's so
whispering
fun.
is so like diabolical.
Oh
It's
yeah,
amazing.
so great.
But look, I don't really like flashbacks. It's a parallel storyline. So the fun for me, just technically as a director visually, was how to make the 1700s and the contemporary story really interact. So it was one progressive linear story. And that may sound a little technical on this podcast, but it's quite a bit of fun in the movie.
it works magnificently. It really truly does. So now moving forward, and again, trying to stay out of spoilers territory, but the original film was a trilogy, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So we got a part 2 coming up. The story written.
I'm always uncomfortable because it's of course, potentially, but it's up to the audiences. Whenever only the Marvel movies get away with it because we're fans of the comic books and we know they go on, right?
Yes.
But I think in general, the audiences will decide based on what we saw last night. I think they love a sequel, but let's leave some space, and we're learning what really worked most strongly in the original. That may inspire some sequels. That would be lovely.
Sounds good. Just gonna take a breath, right? Breathe this one in a little bit.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes. I'm with you. So what is next for this as we wrap this up? You've had your big world premiere. Are we theatrical? Someone picking it up? Are we streaming? Where are we going?
That is all in the brew, in the witch's brew right now. So the fun of doing a truly independent film at this quality level is, we're talking to people, streamers and distributors, every opportunity. It'll be out either the end of this year or it's probably spring of the coming year, one or the other. So watch out.
Fans need to see it. It's a really well done film.
Thank you so
It's
much.
a ton of fun. You all did amazing work, and I can't thank you enough for sitting here with me for a couple of minutes today and talking about it.
Thank you for
so
having us.
much.
Great.
Yeah.
You're a great host. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, guys.
Thanks. You too, Dave.
Bye.
Gruesome Magazine.